Welcome back, everyone. A lot of companies still don't have enough workers. Some of these shortages are easy to see, like in stores and in restaurants, but in other industries, it's a lot less obvious.
And Kenny Beck is here now to tell us about concerning staffing issues in the medical field. And Kenny, this could have dangerous ripple effects.
It absolutely could. Most people don't spend a whole lot of time thinking about autopsy centers or the people who work there, but they play a significant role in our legal system. And the doctors who work at one in Winston-Salem say it is almost impossible to keep up with all the bodies.
A forensic pathologist is a physician who will help determine the cause and the manner of death.
So probably about half of our time is actually spent in the autopsy suite, and then the other half of the time is in teaching as part of the faculty here, and some of the time in the autopsy suite is also teaching.
Doctors William Harrison and Mark Giffen both have unusual jobs, and they are both incredibly busy. They work at Atrium Health Wake Forest Baptist in Winston-Salem. It's one of just 4 regional autopsy centers in all of North Carolina. The others are in Charlotte, Greenville, and the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner in Raleigh. Baptist handles autopsies for most of the western part of the state. Forsyth, Davidson, Surry, Wilkes, Stokes, Davie, and Yadkin are 7 of the 33 counties in its jurisdiction. This chart shows the number of exams performed at the autopsy center over the last 7 years. Things shot up around the start of the pandemic. They're declining now, but still not back down to their pre-2020 levels.
So it's actually not COVID at all.
Right.
Here in North Carolina, we actually didn't perform autopsies on people just because they may have had COVID. Probably the biggest thing pushing that late 2019 going into 2020 was the emergence of fentanyl in North Carolina.
Yeah. This chart shows the number of case referrals or requests over the same time period. We see a similar spike after 2019, but unlike that other chart, no sign of a slowdown.
A lot of it's from medical examiners in other counties, and they're asking us questions about cases. So cases we may or may not be able to bring in for autopsy. We had to adapt our workflow to accommodate this tremendous influx of cases.
They did more than 10,000 exams at Baptist from 2017 through 2023. That's an average of more than 4 a day, every day, for 7 years. The problem is there were more than 15,000 cases referred during that same period, an average of nearly 6 a day.
The danger in that is that something could obviously be missed. We do have somebody in every county that examines everybody that gets referred to the medical examiner system, so the risk of that is very low.
Adding to the doctor's docket, they say about once a month they have to testify in court, usually in more complicated homicide cases. And sometimes it's way out of town. The Cherokee County Courthouse is a more than 500-mile round trip from Baptist. The good news is help is on the way. There are 20 residents at the Wake Forest School of Medicine's forensic pathology program. The bad news is they won't all become forensic pathologists. In fact, a lot of them will end up going into different areas of medicine. The doctors told me if they graduate 1 to 2 new forensic pathologists a year, that's a good year. There are 4.5 of them currently on staff here, and only about 40 to 50 new ones certified each year nationwide. Some years that barely covers retirements. Meanwhile, the work continues to pile up. So what's the solution? Both men say obviously more resources would help, but a change in public perception would too.
We know that we can't necessarily help the person who died, but we're here to help the families.
People don't tend to think about what we do and what valuable public service, necessary public service this is, unless either they work in it or they're touched by it in an unfortunate way.
I think that the next steps are going to be even bigger delays in being able to get reports out, but that does impact the legal system, because if we can't get a report out on a death, they may not be able to charge someone.
When you do more autopsies and you get more information about how our citizens die in North Carolina, that data can empower change.
Doctors Giffen, Harrison, and the rest of the team are supposed to move into a brand new regional autopsy center in the not too distant future. This is a mock-up from CPL Architecture. They hope to finalize the design soon, break ground later this year, and finish it in 2025. Both men believe a bigger, better workspace will absolutely help them attract top talent.